Giving it another minute for people to arrive. There should be sound. Can you hear me now? Yeah, everyone else can hear me because someone said there is no sound. Maybe it's because no one was talking until now. We got Dave starting in a second. So I'll just briefly introduce Dave. Some of you might have seen him already. He was doing a lovely call with Jamie Cato the other day, which I very much enjoyed. Thank you, Dave. He is an award-winning spoken artist and storyteller, and specializes in freestyle performance, which is deeply embodied. He also coaches performing artists, speakers, teachers, and creatives in presence, flow, and getting the message across, basically. And I guess I leave it up to you, Dave, to add anything you want to share about yourself before this call starts, and hand over to you.
Cool. Thank you, Christina. Good morning, everybody. Wow, there's somebody's bare chest right there. Now it's gone again. Bare chest to a blank screen. Good morning, everyone. How is everyone doing? Thank you for, I don't know, I guess for some of you guys, it's not first thing in the morning. For some of you, it is. Thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up. How is everyone feeling? Feeling sleepy, feeling stiff, feeling awake, feeling good. Where I am, the sun has just come up and the birds are singing, and it's still dark inside this room. There's not enough natural light, and this is the only room in the house where the overhead light keeps on blowing all the time. It's actually quite interesting. It's like the circuit just can't handle it. So I have about 5 candles and 2 lamps arranged in front of me on every available surface to try and light myself up enough. I always think it's amazing that anyone manages to show up for anything, given all of the craziness of our lives, right? Given all the things that we think we have to do, all the people that we think we have to become, all the stuff that's only half taken care of or half dreamt up or half grasped. Wherever we have come from, wherever we may think we have to go, we're here right now. And we're breathing. Whatever dreams half lived, whatever families half glimpsed, whatever love half given, whatever grief half felt, we're here. We're here now and we're breathing. How does it feel? What I would love for the period of time that we have together, just a little bit under an hour for this time, what if we could let the rest of the world take care of itself? Now, I know some of you might have children or lovers or aliens or whatever coming into your room and asking you for things, but as much as you possibly can, what would it be like to let the rest of the world take care of itself just for the next hour? What if every job that's unfinished can stay unfinished for now? What if every person that's untaken care of can stay untaken care of just for now? What if we can let the world keep spinning and keep driving itself crazy and keep making itself beautiful and keep on doing everything that it's going to do, whether we help it or not anyway, and just let ourselves be here right now for ourselves? What would that be like? If that's something that you could feel, that you can breathe in, then breathe into it now, whatever that means to you. The entire world can go fuck itself just for the next hour. The entire world can hold its own head up just for the next hour. The entire world can make its own breakfast and fill in its own forms and cheer itself up just for the next hour. And we don't have to do anything but be here for ourselves as we are right here and now. What would that be like? If that's something you can breathe into it now. What would it be like if we didn't have to become somebody just for the next hour? We didn't have to become wiser, more at peace, more confident, more free, more liberated, more enlightened, more sexy. What if we didn't have to be anything just for the next hour? What would that feel like? Is there a place inside your body where you can touch that? If you can, just try breathing into it now. What if everything that we brought to this moment was exactly what we needed to bring? What if we didn't have to be free from anything, just be free with it? What if the entire insane, beautiful mixture of everything churning around inside of us right here in this moment was exactly the gift, calibrated by life inside of us that the world wants? What if exactly who and how we are in this moment is exactly what the world needs from us, and we don't even have to do anything with that? Just breathe into it and let it be. It's a question. It's not a test. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if you feel like it's a load of crap. It doesn't matter if you half feel it or feel it a tiny bit. It doesn't matter. Don't have to do anything with it. I just want to invite you to breathe into yourself right now. And as you are breathing, notice if there's parts of yourself that you haven't been breathing into so much lately, or maybe ever. Is there anywhere where the breath doesn't want to go? Anywhere in the body, in the heart, in the mind, in the soul, in your life where the breath doesn't want to go so much? Some sticky places, some weird places, some shadowy places. And can you let the breath go there? Not a test. Doesn't matter. This isn't like, it's not some kind of an examination of how enlightened you can be or how much you can accept yourself. We don't want to turn self-acceptance into something else. You know, like, I don't accept my non-acceptance. I'm judging myself for judging myself. No, it doesn't matter. Just can we breathe into ourselves more now than we were a moment ago? And how does that feel? And again, on this breath, can you breathe into yourself more than you were a moment ago, and letting the breath flow more places, more deeply, with no effort, with no stress, with no judgment, with no pressure? Can you let the world in? The world that is holding you right now in this moment. Can you let that world in just a little bit more? And when you breathe out, can you allow yourself out into this world just a little bit more than you were a moment before? Just a little bit more of you, exhaled, given on the wave of your breath to this room, to this moment, to this place, to this life. Couple more times. Can you breathe in just a little bit more than you were before? Oh, what does your body want to do? Does it want to shake or twist or be weird? Does it want to be really soft and drop? Whatever it wants, can you breathe into it? And when you exhale, can you just give yourself a little bit more to this moment? Not trying to make anything happen. It doesn't matter. It's just a choice. Okay. I want you guys to just play a little game with me for a moment. I want you to breathe into as much of yourself as you can, and then I want you to say your name aloud and just see how it feels. Okay, I'm going to count to 3. And while I count, I want you to breathe in as much as you can with no effort or pressure. And then I want you to say your name out loud and see how it feels. So breathing in, 1, 2, 3. Dave. Just notice if anything comes up. Notice how your name feels. How does it feel in your chest and in your throat and in your face? How does it feel in the room? And again, breathing in more, more, more. Breathe in, breathe in, breathe in. 1, 2, 3. Dave. And again, and each time you speak, I want you to see how your name wants to be said in this moment. It might come out the same every time. It might be totally different. Breathing in, breathe in all the way down to the tips of your toes and the tips of your fingers, all the way through all of your body, all into your sexy parts, your weird parts, your sticky parts, everywhere. Breathing in. 1, 2, 3, Dave. 1, 2, 3, Dave. 1, 2, 3, Dave. I want you to say your name like it's the most beautiful thing that anyone has ever heard. Just for a moment, all right? Imagine that it's the news the entire world has been waiting for. They've been waiting to hear you say this. So breathing into your whole body as much as you can. And when I get to 5, breathing in for 5, when I get to 5, I want you to say your name like it's the most exquisite, delicious verbal tidbit that has ever been uttered in human history. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Dave! Let's do that 2 more times. Breathing in, breathing in, breathing in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Dave. Does it want to be big? Does it want to be gentle? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Dave. Okay, and now just 3 words. Here I am. Saying here I am as though it's the sexiest thing that has ever been uttered in human history by anyone, for anyone. The whole world is outside your window with their hand to their ear waiting to hear this. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here I am. One more time. A little bit more love, a little bit more juice. No pressure, no effort. Doesn't matter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here I am. And one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here I am.
Here I am.
How did that feel? Let me know in the chats. Whoa, there's loads of things I haven't seen already. Loads of messages. Here we go. Sexy Sam, at least now I'm wearing a shirt. Surprisingly emotional, liberating, beautiful, yeah. Alive, yeah. Makes me want to yawn, yeah. Made me laugh, expanding. So yeah, surprisingly emotional. So if it's so easy sometimes to feel so good, if we just allow more of ourselves to be expressed, if we let more of the world in and we let more of ourselves out and all this energy comes in, why do we not do it half the time? Because there's also sadness there, right? There's grief, there's fear, there's rage. And if we're not willing to feel all those things, then we can't feel all the joy as well. And you don't know which you're going to get. Like when you really breathe deeply into yourself and feel yourself, you don't know which of those emotions are going to show up, and it's probably going to be all of them. Forces me to look excited to be me. Quite interesting, actually. I sang my name. It felt so good. Self-conscious that my partner can hear me. Yeah, me too. It's often like, it's so weird for me practicing this stuff alone in my room with housemates or strangers outside the window or whatever. And there's all these feelings of like, well, what is the world going to think I'm doing? Sadness and grief. Yeah. Yeah, all those things. My son is loving this too. Beautiful. Thank you. So we often spend so much time trying to think of good enough things to say. We put so much energy, even unconsciously, into wondering, is what I have to say good enough? And then the deeper question underneath that is, am I good enough to say something good? So we might feel like we have an important message or a beautiful thing to say, but we don't know if we're good enough as a human being to do justice to that thing. So there's all that going on, and often all that is going on every single time we open our mouths. There's at least a little bit of it, at least a little bit, like it's a referendum on our worth as a human being, a referendum on the validity of our existence. Can I validate my parents' decision to have sex and make a baby and raise me by saying something good enough and being a good enough person as I speak to make it all worthwhile? Can I save the world? Can I save myself? Can I make everyone love me? Can I make everyone happy? At least a little bit of those things going on, a lot of the time. A bit shy too. Yeah, me too. I always have this let's just play this. Let's just do this little version for a moment, actually. So I want you to introduce the shy, timid, weirdo loser part of yourself. And then I'm going to ask you to introduce the glorious, ecstatic, majestic, liberated part of yourself. And they're not separate, and they're not in competition or conflict. They need each other. So I'll model it for you. And this is something I do on stage a lot. For example, this is the shy weirdo, Dave. Hi, guys. Hello. Hope everyone's okay. And I want you all to love me. This is the confident, open, expansive Dave. Oh, I fucking love this. I fucking love this feeling. I love this feeling of standing here and not knowing what I'm going to say or what's going to happen next. I want you to try this with me. I want everyone to introduce the shy, awkward, weirdo part of yourself to the entire world. Imagine that the whole world is watching and listening right now, and just show them that part of yourself. Okay, I'm going to count to 5, taking big breaths in. Let's meet the awkward weirdo. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Beautiful. Does anyone want to do it to the whole group with your mic on? One person want to introduce themselves to everyone that way? Just raise a hand and Christina will sort you out if you want to do that. She'll put you on.
Anyone volunteering for this? You can click the button with the little hand. No one up for it in the morning?
Yeah, go for it. Okay, that's totally fine. It's not surprising, really. Asking people like, you know, can the most shy, most weird feeling person here please stand up? So let's introduce the world to our expansive, ecstatic, glorious, liberated self. And again, there's no pressure. You're not trying to do anything. You're not faking anything. It's just whatever potential you do have for feeling those things, breathing into that and letting that be there. And it doesn't have to be loud and it doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be any of those things. So breathing in again and imagining that you just, it's not that you don't care, you really do care. You really care about everything. You care how people feel, you care how you feel about them. And at the same time, you feel this sense of absolute unconditional joy in expressing yourself in however it comes out. However it comes out is perfect. So as much joy and as much love as you can in your name. When I get to 5, breathing in, breathing in, breathing in all throughout your whole body. Tips your toes, tips your fingers, chest, sexy bits, throat, head, everywhere. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and go. Great. Let's do that 2 more times. And if you don't want to do it, that's fine. And if you want to do it silently, that's totally too. It's not a test. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and go. Hey. Oh, that's beautiful. And 1 more time. And this time, going to do it silently. So just a hand on your heart if you want to, or a hand on your throat if you want to, and say it just inside, just for yourself. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and go. How does that feel? Overthinking. Words can be misunderstood. Attitudes towards people can be misunderstood. What we say can be used against us. Those things are true. What were we supposed to say? Our names. A little tearful. Yeah, it's amazing how quickly those emotions come up. Warmth. Yeah. What else? What else comes up? How does it feel? How many people were judging themselves on how well they're doing the exercise? Am I being joyous enough? Am I being expressive enough? Am I looking happy enough? Any of those kinds of things come up for anyone? Show of hands. Am I getting this wrong? Is there something wrong with me for not feeling good? Show of hands, anyone? Yeah, it's amazing how we turn these things into one more head fuck, one more thing to judge ourselves for. Yes, soft moving, sweet, tender, energy of love, opening space. Yeah. Yeah, why worry? But we do sometimes, and that's okay. So what's really striking to me is that, so we have this fear of rejection, right? If I let myself expressive, if I let myself love and accept myself, if I start expressing myself however I want to, in any moment that I want to, in any way that flows, what will other people think of me? And so what do? We preemptively reject ourselves for our entire lives out of the fear of other people rejecting us at any given moment. To the extent that we shut ourselves down, to the extent that we diminish ourselves, that we turn down our light, that we shrink our voices, that we hold back on what we want to say and how we want to say it, we preemptively reject ourselves out of a fear that the world might reject us at any given moment. So the thing we're afraid of has already come true. We've already been rejected by the only person who actually can truly reject us, us. And anytime, we want to stand up on a table and sing or dance on the bus or tell a stranger that they're beautiful and we don't do it out of a fear of how they'll respond, we've already rejected ourselves. So the thing that we were afraid of, it's already happening all the time. The shy version was protecting my face and head, hiding, and the confident version was covering my heart and my hara to feel the inner strength. So true. Yeah. Okay, so Viveka is saying, let's stop projecting ourselves now. And absolutely, I mean, that is the intention, and that's to align to, but we will keep rejecting ourselves too. And we don't want to reject our self-rejection. Does that make sense? You don't want to reject yourself for rejecting yourself. You don't want to judge yourself for judging yourself. You don't want to shame yourself for shaming yourself. You have to accept your non-acceptance. Don't turn this into one more thing that you can get wrong and feel bad about. Oh, I have to love every single cell and synapse of myself from now and like from this moment and forever onwards and never, ever reject or judge myself ever again. No, you will. It's the world we live in. It's the culture we have. It's the stuff we have inside of us. So we have to love our self-rejection too. Does that make sense? Okay. Yeah, you can't force yourself. It just adds another layer of self-censoring. Exactly. So what questions do people have at this point around expressing your creativity, allowing yourself to embrace the gifts that you do have, and allowing yourself to express yourself in your life in any sense whatsoever? Take a couple of questions and we'll go from there. When you think about breathing into everything you are in any given moment of any day and letting it all be, when you're sharing all of it with the world in the way that you speak, in the way that you dance, in the way that you do anything, the way you work, the way you love, what comes up? How do I find a container in which to do this? That's a really great question. I think one of the greatest needs that most human beings have in the modern world is a place in which to be a freak and to freak out. There's two kinds of containers. There is spaces we find with other people where we can allow all that out. And there are spaces where we allow it all out fully just by ourselves. And then there's finding ways to let that wash through into the rest of our lives. So something I did for about 6 months was every single morning, I would set a timer for 15 minutes and I would say every single thing inside of myself that felt unsaid. Some of it was very dark. Some of it was very weird. Some of it was just about like talking about wanting to have sex with beautiful people that were around that moment in my life. Some of it was telling people they were beautiful, telling people I loved them, expressing gratitude that I hadn't expressed. Some of it was just silliness. Some of it was very, very serious. Every day for 15 minutes, I would just say everything that came. And so what happened then was that in the rest of my day, in the rest of my life, I found myself telling the truth, and not just telling, but embodying and being the truth much more often. I had tuned my body, calibrated my tissues to the frequency of allowing the truth to be alive inside of me. So whether you actually say something or don't say something in any given moment to another person, it's not half as important as whether you allow the truth to resonate freely inside of yourself. Does that make sense? So we have a choice in any given moment to say something or not, but we get caught at the level of thinking about that choice. And while we're doing that, whether we actually speak or not, we're often suppressing the energy of truth inside of ourselves. So you want to practice not suppressing the energy of truth. So in a similar way, I always feel like dancing when I'm on the bus. And sometimes I do dance on the bus and sometimes I don't. And I'm always trying to dance in a way where it's not so attention grabbing that I get kicked off. I have been kicked off buses before and I've stopped. I was once on a train and the train stopped because I was dancing too much. So I'm always like trying, this is like life in the modern world, you know, how can I dance just enough so that I feel alive, but not so much so that people get, you know, like so that I get in trouble and people are annoyed with me. I'm going to come back to these questions in a minute. I'll check back with all of this. So every single day I'm on a bus and I have this desire to dance, and sometimes I do and sometimes I don't, but it doesn't actually matter if I dance or not. What matters is that I allow the energy of dancing to be alive inside of myself, right? So when we make containers, so what I do now is I don't speak at the moment. For 15 minutes every day, I let my body become the freakiest, most contorted, most spasming, weirdest, sexiest, most violent, most comical, shyest, most huge, most elaborate, most inspired, biggest version of myself. I let my muscles and my tissues twist and turn themselves. I'm never using force or effort. I'm giving my body 15 minutes to freak out in every way it wants to. And just that 15 minutes every day means that for the rest of the day, my whole body is moving much more fully and freely. And so is my heart, and so is my mind, and so are my relationships, so is my work. Everything is flowing more fully through me. So that 15-minute container is enough to change the rest of my day, to change the rest of my week, to change the rest of my life. And then I find that I'm cultivating and strengthening the inner permission to be more fully and freely embracing, embodying, and expressing the energy of truth in every moment. So that's the first kind of container. For me, the first container is always one we have to create ourselves and we have to honor and keep to ourselves. And it can be 5, 3. It doesn't matter. It just matters that you allow yourself to have that. Not being allowed to dance on the bus is my whole life. It's everybody's life. This is the world we're living in. Yeah. Does that make sense so far, guys? Do you guys have something like that in your lives? It might not be speaking, it might not be moving. Do you have a space in your life where you can completely freak out, where you can express everything with unconditioned, with unfilteredness? How often? When was the last time you had that? Have you had it in the last week? Show of hands. Have you had it in the last couple of days? Yeah. In my experience, and I don't want to turn this into one more thing you're supposed to do, we need it every single day. For transformation, what matters most is not the intensity of an experience, it's how often it happens. So 5 minutes of dancing every day is better than 1 hour of dancing every week. It's much more powerful. Does that much make sense? Okay, I'm going to get you into breakouts of 3 for 5 minutes, and I want you to talk about where in your life you need the freedom to fully embody and express yourself more and more. Where in your life do you need that right now? Where do you need it most? Does that make sense? Okay, interpret that however you want. You can't get it wrong. It doesn't matter anyway. Christina, will you break them into 3s, please, for 5 minutes?
5 minutes? Yes, I will do. Into 3.
Thank you. Yeah.
You should all see a little box come up to join the breakout rooms now. So the breakout rooms will close soon. They've been given the warning of a minute.
Great, thank you.
Do you want me to let you know if someone raises their hands and with a question? Should I open their mic then?
Yeah.
Yeah? In case. Just let me know if that's something you want to do.
Okay. Hey. It's amazing seeing everybody just flickering back into existence on the screens like that. I see your son. I saw your son dancing earlier. How speaking. Okay, I would love to hear from some people about what comes up for you. I just want to clarify two things before we do that. Then I'd like to hear from individual people. So the first thing is that it's not the activity that matters so much. The question is not, for example, how often do I dance? It's also, the question is really, are there any parts of myself that I'm not allowing out in the dance? Are there any parts of myself I'm not allowing out when I talk? And for me, it's the really weird bits. It's like the ways that we have never imagined ourselves dancing. It's the things we've never imagined our bodies doing. It's the things we've never imagined saying, or the ways in which we've never imagined. That's where the real liberated energy comes from. Because you could dance, you could dance for an hour every single day, but you're still not really letting those different bits of yourself out. And we tell ourselves that those bits are the bits that will be outcast, rejected, shunned, shamed, and they're actually what make us come alive. I know you guys know this. They're actually what people love, and I know you guys know this. But I'm constantly having to check with myself what little bits of myself I'm not allowing out and finding ways to do that. And then the second thing is, just to repeat, it's not about whether we actually do an activity or not a lot of the time. It's about whether we let the energy of that be alive inside of ourselves. So I'm not always going to jump up on top of the bin and dance in the middle of the street, because I don't always want an audience for every single thing I do. And it would turn into an audience straight away. People would be pulling out their phones. They'd all be staring. And then I would be like on stage instead of just enjoying myself. I don't always want to do that, but I want to allow the love that I have, the energy that I have, that desire, that impulse to completely flow inside of me in every single moment. So nothing is shut down. Everything is always given. The energy is always circulating. Does that make sense? If it makes sense, go like this. Great. So I would love to hear from some of you. What parts of yourself need expressing more in your life right now? Just a couple of sentences. So whoever wants to do that, you can press the button or put your hand up. I'm not sure actually how it works, but let Christina know. And then I'd like to hear from you.
There's a little icon that you can raise your hand. If you press that, I can unmute your mic.
Okay.
Haley, I'm unmuting you now.
Hi. Yeah, I get I'm a singer and a songwriter, and I don't actually ever ever sing out. And I actually edit even when I find when I'm writing songs, I'll think, oh, I'm not going to put that because that just seems too kind of desperate, or so I'll edit my songs down quite often, and I often just want to sing stuff that's more optimistic or positive. So yeah, I think I'm gonna try and, or at least write them, whether I'll sing them. And when I listen to it in somebody else's, I really, like, it moves me. I don't judge them in the same way that I judge myself, but I really kind of judge myself for it.
Oh my God, yes, the world needs more of that desperation. It needs to
Yeah.
There's desperate feeling people out there, or rather, everybody has a very desperate bit of themselves, or a thing that feels very desperate in them. And for someone to create anthems for that, the utter desperation, I'm getting turned on just by the idea of it.
Yeah, let's hope so.
Thank you. Who else? There's no good answers. It's not a test. Doesn't matter what you say. Is there anything anyone is scared to share?
We have Ron as well raising her hand.
Great.
Hi, Christina. Hi, Dave. The part of me that I haven't been allowing out is this longing for belonging, a tribe, a place to be at home, our community, and expressing my sexuality.
Wow, thank you. I wonder if there's any human being who doesn't have all those things.
It's definitely weird being the human being that just said that.
Is it? Great. Just stay with that feeling. Just really breathe with that. Breathe with how that feels. And everyone else, whatever you're hearing from whoever is speaking, breathe into whatever that brings alive in you. And whether you choose to share something now or don't share something, can you let the energy of whatever it is that you have to express be alive in you? Doesn't matter whether you speak or you don't speak. Can you breathe into all of it? Can you feel all of it and let it be there? Can you take the world in on the wave of your breath, and can you let yourself out into the world on the wave of your breath? Can you let it all be shared right now in silence or not? Can you let the essence of yourself be shared? Anyone else? Who else wants to say something? And how do you want to say it when you do? We have Sissel.
every time. But a lot of people have trouble with it. So I'm so sensitive. So I've started to stop a lot of this because of other people's meaning, and I'm working hard now to think that someone likes it, and to focus on what I like, and that there is a lot of them who actually like the energy and the positivity and the love which come out of this being. So
are you saying there's some people out there who like energy and positivity and love? That's really surprising.
yeah, but there are also a lot who doesn't, but focus on them who like it. That's my new way. Yes. And I love what you are saying, everything.
Thank you. I'll take two more for now. Whoever most wants to and whoever least wants to.
Rebecca, is that you raising your hand? Yeah. You good to go?
I'm ready to go. So yeah, I mean, I least want to, and I do this all the time, and I sit here going, I want to say something, but I don't. So then I'm criticizing myself for not feeling bold enough to step up and say something. So yeah, so now I'm in this, yeah, I'm just doing it because I least want to, and discovering what that feels like. But also, this is fantastic, this session for me. I mean, the dancing, that's one thing I really, again, criticize myself for not going out and dancing. And I love dancing. So this little practice of 5 minutes a day is going to be, I think it's going to really, really helpful for me.
Yeah.
I feel really emotional talking about this because I know it's a really big element that's missing.
Yeah.
It's so expressive and makes me feel so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And you know, if you don't do it tomorrow, make sure and judge and shame yourself as much as you possibly can. It's very important.
Okay.
Turn this into one more thing you're failing at. That's the idea.
I'll put it on my to-do list then, and I'll punish myself.
Put it on your shame list.
Yeah, my shame list.
Okay.
We have a class in here. If you're taking, yeah.
Great.
Christina, you're good to go.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Perfect.
I can't see you, Christina. Can you wave so I can? No.
Here, can you see me?
No, that's okay. It doesn't matter. Talk away.
Okay. Yeah, for me, it's also a lot about speaking up, or yeah, now I'm doing coaching, like education and coaching, and often I see myself not saying something because I think it's not good enough or nobody wants to hear it. And I see that with that, I put myself down and make myself smaller, and it's really, yeah, not so nice to see that all the time. And what I also can see is that I don't allow myself to arrive in a space where I really can settle, or where I can truly be myself. So I ended up here in a room where I feel I think I have to make myself small again, and it's like you say, and just thinking that I start doing it, and yeah.
Great. So how does it feel just to breathe with all of that right now?
Weird.
Feels weird. Great. That's a good place to start. Yeah. And for everyone too, how does it feel to breathe with whatever comes up in you as we talk about these things? Is there anything you're not feeling? Is there any part of yourself you're not breathing into while we explore this? Is there anything in you that really wants to be voiced while we explore this? Thank you for that, Christina. Thank you.
Thank you.
It doesn't matter whether we speak or not. It only matters whether we choose to judge and shame ourselves around the choice, or whether we choose to let ourselves feel that energy of truth and love and courage alive in ourselves, regardless of what actually happened. So, like I'm going to go back into a bit of a guided meditation in a moment, but I'll just share one thing with you guys. I am incredibly talented at coming up with morning practices, creative morning practices, right? I'm so good at it that instead of actually following the practices, I just come up with more ones instead. That's what I've done most of the time for the last 5 years. Like the longest I've kept anything up was about 6 months, but usually it's more like a week or 2 weeks. The thing is, my morning practices are so inspired. They're so genius. They like bring together all these different transformational alchemical elements. Like it makes much more sense for me to just sit down and invent a new one every single day that I'm definitely going to do tomorrow instead of actually doing one, right? I could write about 15 best-selling books about these morning practices if I had done any of them enough to change my life. Easily 15 best-selling books. What's changed for me lately is not that I'm sticking to things. I haven't been sticking to things. Well, I've been doing something different every single day. But what has changed is that I no longer judge or shame myself whether I do something or not. That's my only commitment. My commitment is not to dancing. It's not to speaking. It's not to freestyling. It's not to anything. My commitment is to never judging or shaming myself for what does or doesn't happen. To never judging or shaming myself for whether I speak up in a crowded room in that moment when my heart is stuck in my throat or I don't. I'm shaming myself for whether I cross the space to talk to the beautiful person that I've just seen or I don't. To never judging or shaming myself for anything. And something I've been doing so much of lately is clearing all the backlog of guilt and shame in me by forgiving myself for every single thing that I've never done. Not because I did something wrong. So forgiveness is not about guilt. It's not about right or wrong or good or bad. Forgiveness is about the pain that we accumulate in our hearts when we don't follow our hearts. So forgiving myself is about all of the pain I hold inside from every day I spent not writing poetry. Every day that I spent not telling people how much I wanted them. Every day I spent not walking down to the ocean and freestyling my prayers. So what I've been doing every single day, I've been walking down to the water and forgiving myself for every book that I never wrote, for every put I never offered, for every story that I never told, for every sunrise that I wasn't awake for every sunset that I missed because I was on Netflix numbing out because I'm so scared of my own power sometimes. I've been forgiving myself for every single thing that I haven't done in my life so far, not because I've done something wrong, but because it hurts the heart when we don't fully and freely embrace and embody and express everything we are in every cell and every synapse and every moment. So I go down and aloud, I say to myself, I forgive myself in the past and the present and the future for every moment I spent crushing my own inspiration, for every page left blank, for every moment where my body was stuck in a chair instead of dancing when it wanted to dance. I forgive myself. I forgive myself in every cell and every synapse, in every breath, in every bone. I forgive myself all the way forward from now until the moment of my death. I commit to never, ever shaming myself again for anything I ever do, because I don't want to be a controlling, manipulative boss to myself, a manipulative dictator to my own inspiration. I only ever want to create from love. And if that means doing nothing, I would rather do nothing and love myself than write 100 books out of a place of not feeling good enough and punishing and judging and hating myself for anything. I would love you guys to do that right now, actually. So speaking aloud, just everyone all at once. I forgive myself for ... whatever comes up for you. Not because you did something wrong, because pain builds up when we don't fully express everything we are. Okay? I'm going to say the words, I forgive myself, and I want you all to finish the sentence in whatever way comes. Then I'm going to say it again, finish it again in whatever way comes. We're just going to keep going for a couple of minutes, okay? So big breath in, breathing in all the way down to the tips of your toes and the tips of your fingers, into your chest, into your guts, into your heart, into your throat, into your head, everywhere. And just let that breath out. So when we say stuff, we have to say it with our whole body and our whole selves. That's what makes the difference. So breathing in, breathe into your whole life. That stretches into the whole of your life, past, present, future, and everything that is right now. 1, 2, 3. I forgive myself for. And again, breathing into your whole life. 1, 2, 3. I forgive myself for. And one more time. 1, 2, 3. I forgive myself for. Not because you did anything wrong. I forgive myself in the past and the present and the future for. I forgive myself in every synapse and every cell for. I forgive myself for all the stupid shit I'm going to do tomorrow. And the next day and next week too. And just really, really breathe that in. Now for me, I have to keep forgiving myself over and over and over again. And I just think about it, it's just like washing the dishes. It's not some dramatic thing that I'm trying to get done and then I'll be free. No, it's actually a part of myself that I'm welcoming. I'm going to keep forgiving myself for the rest of my life, just like I'm going to keep on laughing and crying and dancing. So just taking one more big breath in. Really breathing into the heart, letting your body do whatever it wants. I forgive myself for everything. And I forgive life for everything too. Not trying to make it happen. It's just as much as you can, as much forgiveness as you can right now. I never ever want to shame myself for anything ever again. Okay. How is that? What does that bring up? Let me know in the chat box. Forgive myself for not joining the session earlier. Wonderful aliveness. I thought that was wonderful saliva for a second. Thank you. Beautiful gig. Thank you. Relief, peace, not feeling good enough. Yeah, exactly. Beautiful. Throw a few more in there. We're coming so close to the end now. Okay. Tears, tears, relief. Not using time efficiently. Yeah. Innocence. Yeah. Relaxed finally. That's beautiful. Thank you. Yeah. Great. Okay, guys, we're so close to the end now. I want to do a little visualization, incantation, meditation with you before we close up. So, taking a big breath, I want you to imagine that the light that you are has been scattered all around the world, all around your life. So all of the light that you are has been scattered into things that you worry about and things that you've half done and things that you've wanted but haven't really gone for and things that you're afraid of. And I want you to just take a big breath in and imagine you're just pulling all that light back into yourself. Pulling all that light back in from your worries. Pulling all that light back in from your fears. Pulling all that light back in from your projections and your ideas of what other people will think. Pulling all that light back in from all your stories about how other people will reject you. Really breathing deeply, pulling back in your light from all the unfinished things, all the things that you've never done and that you never will get done, and just letting all of them go and pulling all that light back in. And pulling back all that light from all those parts of yourself that you weren't allowing out and so have been left stuck and scattered all around the world. And I want you to, just as much as you can, feel all that light inside of yourself. And I want you to, as much as you can, decide to let it radiate out equally in all directions, no matter what. And just say to yourself, sometimes people are not going to like it. Fuck it. Sometimes I won't like it. Fuck it. Sometimes I'm going to be scared. Fuck it. Sometimes I'll have no idea what I'm doing. Fuck it. Sometimes I'm going to completely forget. Fuck it. I choose to remember to allow my light to radiate out equally in everything I do and everything I am as much as I can. To remember as often as I can. To come home to my body and my breath as much as I can. To fully, freely embrace and express and embody everything I am as much as I can. And I'm going to forget, and I'm going to shut down, and I'm going to lie, and I'm going to pretend, and that's okay. I'm going to forgive myself right now for every single time that's ever going to happen in the future. And every time it does happen, I just want to notice. I want to notice more quickly. I want to notice more often. I want to come home to myself and stay there longer and come back more often and stay longer and go deeper. And I'm going to go off track a million times, and it doesn't matter. When I notice that I have, I'm just going to come back home again. Whatever you do today, whatever you do tomorrow, whatever you do with the rest of your life, whether you do it or don't do it, what would it be like to give yourself the inner permission to radiate who you are, to let the energy of love radiate out, the energy of truth and courage radiate out in everything that happens, whatever is going on. And that only happens by breathing into everything we are and letting all of it be okay. And letting all of it, the whole world, come in, and letting the wholeness of ourselves go back out again. And we will forget, and we will shut down, and that's okay. Just come back. Just keep coming back.
Thank you so much, Dave. Got to wrap up here. This was an amazing session. I posted your website in the chat box.
Cool.
Everyone to look you up. And I'll do a few announcements and then get back to you to ask you for your #1 embodiment tip or how to stay embodied. But before that, just quickly want to share that for this conference, we obviously want to reach out and support wherever we can. And we chose our partner charity, the Queer Facilitator course in Russia, the LGBTQ community in Russia that dearly needs support and wanting to help through embodiment for them to, in these difficult times, to empower. And if you feel inspired to support them as well, I'm posting a link right now. Please do. They can really use it. And then also, I just quickly want to share what is coming up today after this wonderful session. We have Stephen D'Souza, who's going to talk about not knowing. And then throughout the day, there will be amazing speakers following: Andre Duarte, an African-Brazilian embodiment celebrations. And we have an embodiment panel on trauma. And then also Ginny Whitelaw is going to speak on leadership, Carl Rapke, Julie Martin, and Constance Claire Newman, and David Martinez, Dr. David Verselli. And there's so much, I believe, like none of us can probably follow all the sessions in one day. So just as a reminder, it is possible to access the recordings throughout this week. And after that, if you want to keep listening to them and actually have them, there's the possibility to buy the package still, and I'm going to post a link in the chat box right now for everyone to access. And that's all from me. And maybe Dave, you want to share your #1 tip in like a brief moment, how to best stay embodied?
Thank you. My #1 tip would be to find time every single day to let your body move in the freakiest ways possible, with no effort or stress, just letting the body guide you and how weird it wants to be. Thank you so much, guys. I feel so much love and so much appreciation for all of you. So beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dave.